Emma Parker was the kind of person who seemed to have it all together. At 27, she lived in a cozy apartment in Cincinnati, Ohio, a city that felt just right, not too big, not too small. Her days were filled with work as a graphic designer at a local marketing agency, where her creative mind thrived. Evenings were reserved for quiet walks with her golden retriever, Max, or video chats with her childhood best friend, Sarah. Before we dive into this gripping story, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. And if you love stories packed with mystery and drama, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. There's so much more coming your way. Friends often said Emma was lucky. She had a stable job, a loving family, and an easy laugh that lit up a room. But beneath that bright exterior was a loneliness she couldn't shake. After her last serious relationship crumbled 2 years ago, Emma found herself retreating deeper into the online world. Social media wasn't just a pastime. It became her window to a world she desperately wanted to explore. Emma's fascination wasn't limited to her hometown or even the US. She had always been drawn to different cultures and faraway places. The sounds of Afrobeat music, the vibrant colors of African textiles, the stories of resilience and community, these pulled at her heart. One rainy evening, scrolling through Facebook groups, Emma stumbled across Africa Lovers and Culture Exchange. The posts were lively, videos of traditional dances, recipes, travel tips, and passionate discussions about heritage. She joined immediately. That's where she met Kwame. Kwame's profile stood out. His pictures were warm, smiling faces, shots of lush landscapes, and moments with family. He described himself as a teacher and entrepreneur based in Accra, Ghana. His posts often spoke about community development and education. Emma was intrigued. Their first exchange was casual, a comment about a shared love of music. Then a message. Then daily conversations that stretched into the night, spanning everything from favorite books to childhood memories. Kwame was charming and attentive. His messages were thoughtful, his words filled with encouragement and warmth. Emma felt seen, understood, even cherished. For the first time in a long while, hope blossomed inside her. But with every message, her friends grew concerned. Sarah warned her gently, "Be careful, Emma. You don't really know him." Emma brushed off the worries, telling herself this was just the kind of connection she'd been waiting for. A love that transcended distance, a chance to finally break free from loneliness. Days turned into weeks, and Emma and Kwame's relationship deepened. They shared video calls, laughter, dreams of a future together. Kwame sent her photos of the vibrant streets of Accra, of markets bursting with color, of children playing football in dusty fields. Emma's heart ached with a mix of longing and excitement. She confided in Kwame about her fears, her past heartbreaks. Kwame listened patiently and reassured her. But behind her smile, Emma was torn. She hesitated to tell her family the full truth about her online romance. They might worry, and she didn't want to be stopped. Her mother had once warned her about stranger danger, and Emma wasn't ready to hear that from them again. Instead, she clung to Kwame's promises. One day soon, she would see him in person. Until then, their virtual world was enough. Months passed. Kwame talked about showing her his country, introducing her to his family, and sharing a life far beyond anything she'd known. Emma's heart told her this was real, that this was love. One night, after a long conversation, Emma made a decision. She would fly to Ghana to meet Kwame. The decision was thrilling and terrifying. She told Sarah and a few close friends but kept details vague with her family, fearing they'd try to stop her. Emma spent weeks preparing, booking flights, applying for a visa, reading travel blogs. Every day brought her closer to the journey that would change everything. The day Emma left was filled with bittersweet emotion. Her mother hugged her tightly at the airport, eyes wet with worry. "Be safe, Emma. Please call me when you land." "I will, I promise," Emma replied, though a small knot tightened in her stomach. The plane took off into the gray sky, carrying Emma towards an unknown future. She stared out the window, heart pounding with excitement and fear. This was the moment her life would pivot forever. Emma's plane touched down at Kotoka International Airport in Accra just before dusk. The humid air wrapped around her like a heavy blanket, the scent of unfamiliar spices and distant city noise a stark contrast to the calm streets of Cincinnati. Kwame was waiting at the arrival's gate, his smile warm but guarded. He wore a light linen shirt and jeans, looking every bit the charming man from the photos. "Welcome to Ghana, Emma," he said, his voice steady but with a hint of nervousness. Emma's heart fluttered as she stepped into his waiting arms. The moment felt surreal. She was finally here, in a world she had only dreamed of. As they drove through the bustling city, Kwame pointed out landmarks and told stories about his childhood. Emma was captivated by the energy around her, the rhythm of life unlike anything she'd known. But as night fell, a quiet unease settled in her chest. Kwame's eyes darted nervously when they passed a dark alley, and his phone buzzed repeatedly with messages he quickly hid from her view. For the first few days, Emma felt like she was living in a dream. Kwame introduced her to his close-knit family, who welcomed her with warm smiles and generous hospitality. She tasted dishes she'd never heard of: jollof rice, kelaweel, wache, and danced to live Afrobeat music at vibrant street festivals. Kwame showed her around markets bursting with colorful fabrics and handcrafted jewelry. For a time, Emma forgot her worries. She believed she had found a new home. But shadows lurked beneath the joy. Kwame became increasingly secretive about his work and often avoided answering questions about his friends. Emma's doubts started as tiny whispers. One evening, after a late dinner, she asked Kwame about his childhood home. He hesitated, then changed the subject. Another time, she overheard Kwame speaking sharply in a language she didn't understand during a phone call. His face darkened. When Emma suggested visiting a local cafe with free Wi-Fi so she could message her family, Kwame refused, citing safety concerns. The walls closed in. Emma's phone screen dimmed suddenly one night, its battery draining inexplicably fast. Then it froze, refusing to turn on. Kwame said he would fix it, but days passed without change. Without her phone, Emma felt trapped. The digital lifeline to her family and friends was severed. She tried to stay calm, trusting Kwame's reassurances. But isolation clawed at her mind. One afternoon, Kwame took Emma to a sprawling market, filled with voices, colors, and chaos. As she wandered between stalls, she noticed a man following her, a shadow that disappeared when she looked directly. Returning to Kwame, Emma mentioned the stranger, but he brushed it off, saying, "You're imagining things. Accra is safe if you stay close." Emma wasn't sure what to believe anymore. 2 days later, Emma went to the market alone to pick up a gift for Kwame's sister. It was a simple errand, but she never returned. Kwame told the family she had left early to explore the city on her own. But no one saw her after she walked away that morning. As hours turned into days, the whispers began. Vendors said a foreign woman had been asking too many questions. Some claimed to have seen her speaking urgently to unknown men. Kwame's explanations grew inconsistent. Back home, Emma's family tried calling her phone, straight to voicemail. Her social media was silent. The reality was sinking in. Emma Parker was missing. Back in Cincinnati, Sarah was frantic. Emma hadn't replied to texts or calls for over 48 hours. The usually outgoing woman had vanished without a trace. Sarah contacted Emma's mother, and together they reported her missing to the Cincinnati Police Department. The officers were sympathetic but cautious. Emma was an adult who had traveled abroad. Cases like this were complicated. Emma's family reached out to the U.S. Embassy in Ghana, hoping for any help or information. Meanwhile, social media lit up with posts, hashtags, and pleas for news. Kwame remained strangely silent on Emma's social accounts, leaving friends and family confused and alarmed. In Accra, the U.S. Embassy initiated contact with local authorities. They assigned a liaison officer to follow up on Emma's disappearance. Detective Ama Kusi, a seasoned investigator with the Ghana Police Service, was tasked with the case. She immediately sensed irregularities, Kwame's inconsistent statements, the market rumors, and the fact that no one had seen Emma since that morning. Ama began interviewing Kwame's family and friends, pressing for details. Each conversation revealed fragments of tension and unease beneath the surface. As Detective Ama dug deeper, she uncovered troubling information about Kwame. Though charming, he had a history linked to a secretive group rumored to exploit vulnerable foreigners. There were whispers of scams and disappearances tied to men using social media romance as bait. Kwame's name appeared in unofficial reports, but nothing concrete enough for arrest. Amma realized Emma's case was more than a missing person. It was part of a dangerous web that stretched beyond borders. Meanwhile, Sarah and Emma's mother launched their own search efforts. They connected with online communities, private investigators, and even social media influencers dedicated to missing persons. One breakthrough came when an acquaintance of Emma's spotted a shadowy figure resembling Kwame in a CCTV clip near the airport days after Emma vanished. The clip showed Kwame speaking with an unidentified man, exchanging what looked like a small, wrapped package. The timing and location raised alarm bells. Emma's mother appeared on local Cincinnati news, her voice raw with emotion. "Emma is my daughter, my heart," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. "If anyone has seen her, if anyone knows anything, please come forward. We just want her home." Across the Atlantic, Kwame's family faced pressure and scrutiny. Some defended him fiercely, others whispered about secrets better left untold. Emma's disappearance was no longer just a mystery. It was a desperate race against time. Back in Cincinnati, Sarah was determined to find answers. She began combing through Emma's phone records and social media history, hoping for clues. Even though Emma's phone was broken in Ghana, Sarah discovered something odd, a series of deleted messages from Kwame that hinted at trouble. One message read, "Everything is not as it seems. Trust no one." Another said, "Meet me at the old warehouse. It's urgent." Sarah's heart pounded. Was Emma trying to warn someone? Or was this part of a trap? Detective Amma in Accra pursued this new lead. She tracked down the warehouse mentioned in the messages, a rundown, abandoned building near the outskirts of the city. The area was dangerous, frequented by criminals and smugglers. Amma assembled a small team and planned a covert inspection. Inside, they found signs of recent activity, footprints, discarded clothing, and a piece of jewelry Emma was known to wear. But there was no sign of Emma herself. Kwame's story began to unravel. Private investigators discovered he had used multiple aliases on Facebook and had traveled extensively under different passports. His online persona was carefully curated, but the reality was darker. Rumors circulated that he was involved in trafficking rings that preyed on women from Europe and America. Emma's friends were stunned. The man they believed to be a caring lover might be part of something sinister. Late one night, Sarah received an anonymous email. The message was brief but chilling. "Emma is alive but in danger. If you want to save her, don't trust Kwame. Follow the money trail." Attached was a blurry photo of Emma, her face tired, eyes wide with fear, taken in what looked like a small, dimly lit room. Sarah's blood ran cold. Time was running out. With help from Interpol and the U.S. Embassy, the investigation expanded beyond Ghana. Financial records showed suspicious transactions linked to Kwame's accounts, with funds moving rapidly between multiple countries, including Nigeria, the UK, and Germany. Emma's family pleaded for international cooperation. Meanwhile, authorities in Europe started monitoring flights and communications connected to Kwame's network. The case was no longer local. It was a sprawling global nightmare. Detective Amma and her team, with Interpol's coordination, set up a sting operation. Intelligence suggested Emma was being held somewhere outside Accra, possibly being moved soon. Amma briefed the team. "This is our chance. We move at dawn. No mistakes." Emma's family waited anxiously thousands of miles away, unaware of the high-stakes plan unfolding. Kwame was caught off guard by the sudden police raids. He fled, but investigators found a hidden room in his family home. Inside, they discovered disturbing evidence, photos of other missing women, forged passports, and detailed notes about trafficking routes. Amma shook her head in disbelief. "This goes far deeper than we thought." Just as hope seemed distant, Sarah's phone buzzed with a cryptic text. "I'm here. I'm scared. Please don't give up." It was from Emma's number. Sarah called back, voice trembling. "Emma, where are you? Are you safe?" A faint whisper answered, "Not yet, but help is coming. Police tracked the signal to a remote safe house outside Accra. Under cover of darkness, they approached cautiously. Emma was weak and frightened but alive. Amma held her hand tightly, whispering, "You're safe now. We won't let anything happen to you." Tears streamed down Emma's face as the nightmare finally began to end. Back in Cincinnati, the news of Emma's rescue brought relief and sorrow. Sarah embraced her sister, their tears mingling in a long-awaited reunion. Emma's healing would be slow. The scars were deep, physical, emotional, and psychological. But justice was underway. Kwame and his accomplices faced multiple charges across continents. Months later, Kwame was extradited to the United States to face charges. The courtroom buzzed with tension as prosecutors laid out the horrific web of lies, exploitation, and danger Kwame had spun. Emma's testimony was powerful, raw, and heart-wrenching. "I trusted him," she said, voice breaking. "He was the man I thought I loved. But he betrayed me in the worst way." The defense tried to discredit Emma's story, painting Kwame as a victim of misunderstanding. But witnesses, evidence, and intercepted communications told a different tale, one of calculated deception and cruelty. The judge's stern gaze reminded everyone the law was not blind. Outside the courthouse, Emma's family spoke to reporters. "We want to thank everyone who never gave up on Emma," Sarah said. Emma began therapy and support groups, slowly reclaiming her life. Her journey would be long, but hope was real. The case sparked international media attention, exposing the dangers of online romance scams and human trafficking. Advocates called for stronger laws and more resources to protect vulnerable people. Emma became a symbol of survival and courage, speaking out to warn others. Years later, Emma returned to Cincinnati changed but stronger. She launched a foundation to help trafficking survivors and educate young women about online safety. Her story, once one of fear and loss, had become a beacon of hope. As she stood before a crowd at her first event, Emma smiled softly. "This is not the end," she said. "It's the beginning." Thanks for watching. If you're hooked on gripping stories like this, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling tales. Your support means the world to us. With love and gratitude, I invite you to join our community for more captivating content. Subscribe now for more stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Thank you.